The hum of conversation filled the dining area of Tranquil Heights, an upscale restaurant known for its refined atmosphere and exclusivity. Claire Bennett, the manager, bustled between tables, checking on the staff and ensuring the night went smoothly. Every detail mattered to her, from the arrangement of fresh lilies on each table to the perfectly ironed uniforms of her waitstaff. The restaurant was her kingdom, and she ruled with precision and pride. As Claire passed the kitchen door, she caught snippets of whispered conversation from a pair of servers huddled near the counter. "Did you see the guy who just walked in? The one with the hat?" one of them asked. Claire's curiosity piqued, and she turned sharply. "What hat?" The server hesitated, glancing toward the dining area. "A red one, with that slogan on it." Claire's chest tightened. She didn't need further explanation to know they meant the infamous "Make America Great Again" hat. Her stomach churned with unease. "Where is he seated?" Claire asked, her voice clipped. The servers exchanged uncertain looks before pointing to a table near the large picture window. There he was, a middle-aged man with neatly combed gray hair, wearing a crisp white shirt and slacks. The red cap perched on his head was unmistakable. Claire felt a surge of irritation. She envisioned the reactions of the other diners: discomfort, judgmental glances, perhaps even complaints. This wasn't a place for political statements. It was a haven of neutrality and sophistication. She straightened her blazer and strode toward the table. The man was perusing the menu, his posture relaxed. He looked up as Claire approached, his expression warm and welcoming. "Good evening," he said, his voice calm. Claire's professional smile barely concealed her tension. "Good evening, sir. I hope you're enjoying your time here. However, I must inform you that we have a strict dress code policy. Unfortunately, your hat doesn't align with the atmosphere we aim to maintain." The man raised an eyebrow, surprised but not defensive. "Oh, I wasn't aware. My apologies. Would it help if I removed it?" Claire hesitated. Her instinct screamed no. Removing the hat wouldn't erase the impression it had already made. "I'm afraid it's best if you leave," she said, her tone firm but polite. "We want all our guests to feel comfortable." The man regarded her for a moment, his face unreadable. Then, with a small nod, he stood, picked up his hat, and placed a tip on the table. "Thank you for letting me know," he said, his voice devoid of malice. "Have a good evening." As he walked out, several staff members glanced nervously at Claire. One of them, a young hostess named Rachel, approached cautiously. "Was that really necessary?" Rachel asked quietly. Claire stiffened. "We have a reputation to uphold. Guests come here for a specific experience, and that hat disrupts it." Rachel looked like she wanted to argue but thought better of it. Claire turned on her heel and resumed her rounds, feeling a mixture of satisfaction and unease. Later that night, as Claire sat in her small office reviewing sales reports, she couldn't shake the image of the man's calm demeanor. He hadn't argued, hadn't caused a scene. Yet something about the encounter lingered, like a splinter under her skin. With a sigh, she closed her laptop and decided it was time to head home. Tomorrow would bring another busy day, and she needed to be at her best. The following morning, Claire's inbox pinged with a new email from corporate. Her heart leaped when she saw the subject line, "Meeting Invitation, Tranquil Heights." For months, Claire had been hoping for recognition from the higher-ups. The restaurant had consistently outperformed its competitors, and she had poured every ounce of her energy into maintaining its success. The email detailed a meeting scheduled for that evening, to be held at her location. Claire read it twice, smiling to herself. This had to be a good sign, a chance to showcase her hard work and maybe even discuss future opportunities. That evening, the restaurant closed an hour early to prepare for the meeting. Claire ensured everything was perfect. The floors gleamed, the furniture was spotless, and the staff had been dismissed to avoid interruptions. As the clock struck 8, the front doors opened and a man stepped inside. Claire froze. It was him, the man with the red hat. Only now, he wore a tailored navy suit, and the hat was nowhere in sight. "Good evening, Miss Bennett," he said, extending a hand. "I'm Jonathan Reese. Thank you for meeting with me." Claire's heart sank as she shook his hand, her mind racing. Jonathan Reese? She knew the name. It was on the emails from corporate. But how could this man be the same person? I didn't realize you were coming, Claire stammered. Jonathan smiled, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. I prefer to visit my establishments anonymously. It helps me see how they truly operate. Claire's stomach churned as she gestured toward a private booth. Once seated, Jonathan wasted no time. I was at this restaurant last night, he began, his tone calm but pointed. Your staff is excellent, courteous, attentive, but I wanted to discuss your approach to customer service. Claire's throat went dry. Of course, Mr. Reese, I strive to maintain a welcoming environment for all our guests. Jonathan tilted his head, studying her. Interesting, because last night I was asked to leave due to my attire. Claire's face burned. Mr. Reese, I believed the hat would make other guests uncomfortable. I wanted to preserve the atmosphere. Jonathan leaned forward, his expression unreadable. Tell me, Ms. Bennett, does our dress code policy mention political attire? Claire hesitated. No, Jonathan interrupted. It doesn't. Our policy is clear. Treat every guest with respect. Your actions, while well-intentioned, were based on assumptions and personal bias. Claire opened her mouth to argue, but stopped. Jonathan's words hit hard, cutting through her defenses. You didn't know anything about me, he continued. You judged me based on a hat. Imagine if a customer made a similar judgment about one of your staff. Claire lowered her gaze, the weight of his words sinking in. I'm not here to fire you, Ms. Bennett, Jonathan said, but I am here to challenge you. I want you to prove that you can lead this restaurant in the spirit of inclusivity. I have a proposition. Claire looked up, her heart pounding. What kind of proposition? Jonathan smiled, a glint of determination in his eyes. You'll find out tomorrow. The next morning, Claire arrived at the restaurant earlier than usual, her thoughts tangled in a mix of anxiety and determination. The meeting with Jonathan Reese lingered in her mind, his calm but pointed words replaying like a broken record. She knew she had made a mistake, but his proposition left her curious and nervous. As she unlocked the front doors, her phone buzzed with an email notification. It was from Jonathan, with the subject line, Challenge Instructions. Claire hesitated before opening it. Dear Ms. Bennett, as discussed, your leadership is being put to the test. Your challenge is to organize a community dinner event within the next 5 days. The goal is to create an evening where people from all walks of life can come together, share a meal, and engage in meaningful conversation. The theme is Unity through Diversity. You'll need to partner with local community groups to invite a diverse range of guests, create a menu that reflects a variety of cultural cuisines, deliver a speech about the importance of inclusivity and hospitality. Failure to execute this successfully will force me to reevaluate your role as manager. Good luck, Jonathan Reese. Claire's stomach sank as she read the email. A community dinner in 5 days? She felt a flash of indignation. This wasn't what she signed up for as a restaurant manager, but deep down, she knew Jonathan had a point. Her actions last night had been rooted in bias, and this challenge was an opportunity to prove she could grow. 5 days, she muttered, shaking her head. Let's get to work. Day 1, Claire reached out to local organizations, including a veterans group, a community center, and even a university club that focused on interfaith dialogue. She explained the event and its goal, careful to frame it as a celebration of unity rather than an obligation. Some groups were enthusiastic, while others were skeptical. Claire had to overcome her initial discomfort and listen to their concerns. Why are you doing this? One woman from the community center asked bluntly. Claire hesitated. Because I want to show that our restaurant is a place where everyone feels welcome. The woman studied her for a moment before agreeing to participate. It wasn't the warmest response, but it was a start. Day 2, Claire and the head chef, Marco, brainstormed a menu that showcased dishes from various cultures. They decided on everything from Middle Eastern mezzi platters to Southern soul food and Italian pastas. This is ambitious, Marco said, eyeing the long list of dishes, but if we pull it off, it'll be a feast to remember. Claire nodded. It has to be. On day 3, as word of the event spread, some staff members expressed hesitation. Are we sure about this? Rachel asked during a team meeting. I mean, What if it turns into a political thing? We don't want arguments breaking out. Claire took a deep breath. That's why it's important. This isn't about politics. It's about people. If we can create an environment where guests feel safe to connect, we'll have done something meaningful. Her conviction seemed to inspire the team, though she could still sense some lingering doubt. Day 4, the dining area was transformed with long communal tables, adorned with simple but elegant centerpieces. Small cards with conversation starters were placed at each setting, encouraging guests to share their stories and perspectives. Claire felt a pang of nervous excitement as she surveyed the room. Everything was coming together, but the real challenge lay ahead. On the night of the event, the restaurant buzzed with energy as guests began to arrive. Veterans in uniform shook hands with college students. A local rabbi chatted with an imam near the Mezzi station. The air was filled with laughter and curiosity, as people from vastly different backgrounds found common ground. Claire moved through the crowd, ensuring everything ran smoothly. She caught snippets of conversations, stories of resilience, shared recipes, and even a few light-hearted jokes about cultural quirks. At the heart of it all was Jonathan Reese, mingling with guests and observing the evening unfold. When the main course was served, Jonathan tapped a glass to signal for attention. The room quieted as he took the stage. "Thank you all for being here tonight," he began. "This event is more than a dinner. It's a reminder that unity is possible, even in a world that often feels divided." He gestured toward Claire, who stood off to the side. None of this would have been possible without Ms. Bennett's leadership. She embraced this challenge with grace, and tonight is a testament to her hard work. Claire felt a lump rise in her throat as the guests applauded. Jonathan continued, "As a business owner, I believe in the power of hospitality to bring people together, and tonight, you've all proven that with an open heart and a shared meal, we can find common ground." After the event, Jonathan approached Claire privately. "You exceeded my expectations," he said, his tone warm but firm. "This wasn't just about redeeming yourself, it was about setting an example for others. And you've done that." Claire swallowed hard, her emotions threatening to spill over. "Thank you for giving me the chance to make it right." Jonathan nodded. "Keep this in mind as you move forward. Every guest, every person, has a story. Don't let assumptions rob you of the opportunity to hear it." Claire nodded, the weight of his words settling deep in her heart. As the weeks passed, the community dinner became a legend among the locals. Claire continued to grow as a manager, using what she had learned to foster a culture of respect and openness among her staff and guests. The experience taught her that leadership wasn't about control. It was about understanding. And in that understanding, she found a new sense of purpose. Jonathan's experiment had not only tested her character, but transformed it, proving that even the smallest acts of humility and kindness could spark change. And in the end, the restaurant thrived, not because of its exclusivity, but because it had become a beacon of unity. Thank you for joining us on this journey of humility, redemption, and growth. Claire's story is a powerful reminder that every action we take leaves an imprint, and it's never too late to change for the better. This tale shows us how stepping outside our comfort zones can lead to profound lessons about leadership, inclusivity, and understanding. If this story moved you, don't forget to comment below and share your thoughts. We'd also love to know where you're listening from. Our community spans the globe, and your voice matters. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss another inspiring story from Hopeful Horizon. Until next time, stay hopeful, stay curious, and always strive to see the world through someone else's eyes.